Hi friends, good day. Today I am going to take out the eighth problem. See, Sampath Limited sends goods to its branch office at cost plus 10%. Goods has been sent by head office to branch at cost plus 10%. So, head office to branch, goods sent to branch, cost plus 10%. Okay, goods sent to branch. On the other sales, the head office makes a uniform profit of 33 1 by 3%. Head office to others. So here this is SP is equal to, that is invoice price is equal to cost price plus 10%. Clear to all of you? Whereas for others, head office makes a uniform profit of 33 1 by 3%. On other sales, he is saying, on other sales. So others 1 by 3, 1/3 profit on sales. Okay, then branch sells goods at uniform profit of 25%. Branch sells goods. Now, branch sells goods at uniform profit of 25%. Profit on sales. So, we got branch is selling the goods to branch, head office is selling the goods to branch, sending the goods to branch at cost plus 10%. I repeat once again, head office sends goods to branch, that is invoice price, at cost plus 10%. Others, 1/3 of profit, 1/3 of profit on sales, 1/3 of profit on sales. Whereas branch sells goods at 25% profit on sales. That means head office is sending goods to branch and they are also selling to others. Others, they are getting a profit of 1/3 on sales. Whereas when by sending the goods, they are sending goods at CP 10%, means the profit is 10% on cost price, which is nothing but 1/11th of selling price. No, CP 10% on CP is nothing but, if you want to convert into IP, it is 11. It is 1 by 11th. Okay, just wait a minute. Then next, the next point. So then let me take you to the next point. Head office purchases amounted to 7,32,000. Sir, why they have given head office information? Because if you look at the problem, prepare columnar trading and P&L account for head office and branch for the year ended 31st March 16. So they are asking you to prepare columnar trading account and P&L account of head office for head office and branch. That means these accounts are being maintained by head office. For the first time in the problem of final accounts, you are also having a transaction of head office. That means along with the good that is been sent to branch by trying to find out the profit by final accounts method, they are also going to find out the profit of their activities other than the good that has been transferred to branch. That means head office also having some operations. So previously we were looking at the models or the problems, we were only looking at focusing at the result of a branch, which we want to know in the books of head office. But here parallelly they want to know the results of themselves also along with the result of branch. That means you are preparing head office final accounts and final accounts of branch in the books of head office. I'm talking about final accounts means excluding balance sheet. Is only asking about trading comma P&L account. So I think you need to prepare two columns. One is for head office, the other one is for branch. Okay, coming back to this, head office purchase amounting to 77,32,000. The purchase returns were 30,825 and discount allowed to suppliers amount to 15,045. Now, if you look at this, discount allowed by suppliers, discount allowed by, this is about which column? We are talking about head office column activities. Head office purchases, this will be debited to which account? Trading account of head office. From that you should deduct purchase returns. This will be taken head office. Suppliers and allowed by, discount allowed by suppliers means this is nothing but discount received. This will be taken to head office column, credit side of P&L account. Am I right? And from this purchases you should deduct purchase returns. This will be debited to head office trading account. Next, this is also about head office only. These two, A and B, is about head office. Sales by head office amounted to 5,40,000. Goods sent by head office to branch, invoice price amounted to 2,72,250. Discount allowed to customers. Discount allowed to customers is nothing but, this will be debit side of P&L of head office, no? Discount allowed. Sales by head office will be taken to which account? Trading account, credit side. Goods sent by head office to branch. We have learned in department also, when goods are sent by one department to the department, by head office to branch, this is just like A department, B department. The way we have opened columnar trading and P&L account in department accounts. The treatment, it reminds you of the department accounts. Like we were having two columns of A department, B department. Similarly, head office one column, branch is another column. So sales by head office amounted to 5,40,000. So it is to be credited to trading account, credit side of head office. Goods sent by head office to branch at invoice price. This is also will appear on the credit side. Okay, but here we are having one more point relating to head office only. Goods sent to branch on 31st March 16 amounting to 33,000 were in transit. That means goods dispatched is 2,70,250. But out of which goods are still in transit means we cannot consider this 33,000, no? So this 33,000 is still in transit. That means when you are talking about 33,000, my dear friends, this 33,000 rupees to be subtracted from 2,70,250. Unless it is being received by the branch, you can't treat as a sales to branch, no? Goods sent to branch, no? So 2,72,250 good dispatched, from that 33,000 is to be deducted. Then you will be getting around 2,72,250 minus 33,000. If you take, you will be getting 2,39,250. 2,39,250 will be taken as goods sent by branch as a sales for head office column credit side. The same will become a receipt of goods. Like for branch, it is like a purchases, So for a branch, goods received from head office like a purchase, but you can't call it a purchases. So that will be debited. Clear? Then goods purchased by the branch locally. This will be taken to which column? Branch column. So here in this point, this 33,000 is to be deducted from goods dispatched. So it will appear on the head office credit side also partially, and also on the debit side of branch account. Clear to all of you? It is a receipt for branch. It is like a sale for head office. When you are recording it, it should be subtracted 33,000. Goods purchased by branch will be debited to branch account. You know that. Establishment other expense of head office were 1,40,130, and branch office will be taken to where? Head office and branch P&L account, no, respectively. Sales by the branch will be taken to trading account credit side branch column. Discount allowed to customer 2,820, and cost of goods lost in transit. This is exclusively related to where? Branch credit side. And goods lost in transit also cost has been given. Cost means cost to branch. It is to be credited to branch trading account credit side. Stock of goods in transit, including stock of goods in the branch on 31st March 16, including goods received from head office for rupees 57,750. Unrealized profit. Whenever you are having closing stock of branch, I think I not stress a lot on this particular point. You all have learned that in department accounts. Unrealized profit in the books of receiving department relating to sending department, sender, transferer, transferee. Number of times we have discussed. That is the reason why generally we any institute, any faculty, generally they first start department accounts followed by branch account. The reason is to have a connectivity. Okay, so you know that the receiving department or the transfer department stock is consisting of the good that has been transferred by transferor, sender. So you know that is unrealized profit, because 57,750 at the time of sale, it is being assumed by the head office that it has been sold, but you know that it is called as unrealized profit, and that is to be debited to general P&L account. If you don't maintain general P&L account, that can be debited to P&L account also, head office also. This is a new point. Generally you can see that it is created to general P&L account, or closing stock reserve debited to general P&L account. This is closing stock, no? 31st March. Closing stock is to be generally, stock reserve is to be debited to general P&L account, but also can be debited to head office P&L account also. So slowly you'll be learning one more point. Since this is not actually department account, this is branch, no? It can be debited to head office, debit side of P&L account, so that the unrealized profit amount will be reduced. Okay, but the interesting point is that we don't have closing stock here. Without having closing stock, can you find out profit or loss? No. But I think cleverly you can do, without going for working notes or closing stock. You can use the data, same data, sales, because percentage of profit has been given in the problem. Percentage of profit, when I talk about for head office profit is, like this. Head office profit is like this. On goods sent to branch, CP plus 10%, which becomes SP. So 1/10 of CP is equal to 1/10 of CP is equal to 1/11th of IP, no? So the goods sent is at invoice price, no? Sales by head office amounted to, sales by head office, goods sent by head office to branch at invoice price. I'm having one CP, IP is equal to 1/10th. Cost price plus 10%. That is 1/10th. Am I right? 1/10 of CP. That means percentage of profit has been given on CP. I'm converting that into IP directly. So 1/10th of CP is equal to 1/11th of IP. Okay. So what I do here, just I'll be making tutorial note here. Whatever so far I've explained tutorial, simple words I'm giving. 1. Head office to branch. Goods sent to head office. Head office to branch. Invoice price. That is CP plus 10%. To others. Others. At selling price. That is 33.33 or 1/3. Next, point number 2. Branch sells at 25% profit on SP. Whatever I have explained so far in simple words I am writing. This is for you to understand. Third point, just now I told you, unsold stock of branch, and we am talking about, includes stock received from head office which is at invoice price. Which is at invoice. Therefore, to remove loading effect, percentage of CP to be converted to percentage of IP. That is 1/10 of CP is equal to 1/11 of IP. Clear? So you know that to remove loading effect, percentage of CP to be converted to percentage of IP. That means 1/10 of, because whenever goods received by head office is at invoice price, no? So it is to be taken at 1/10 of CP is equal to 1/11 of IP. And also here head office sent to branch IP CP plus 10%. If you want to convert the percentage even for sales also to find out gross profit, we can say 1/10 of CP is equal to 1/11 of IP. That means to find out the profit, because I told you closing stock of branch is also missing. If you can find out the profit on branch sales made by branch 3,60,000. Achha, sales made by branch is different. Sales goods sent by head office to branch, you are having two percentage of profit. One is to others, 1/3. Now this is at CP. Now goods are sent to branch at here. Whatever the value that has been given, head office purchase amount and purchase returns, this is completed. Sales by head office, this is completed. Goods sent by head office to branch at invoice price. But I got the information of CP. To find out the profit, I have to convert the percentage of CP into percentage of IP. Because if I want to find out the profit, so head office having profit on two things. One is by dispatching goods to branch, one is by dispatching goods to others. I hope you all are following. Head office is getting profit on two occasions: by sending the goods to branch at cost price, percentage has been given. If you want to find out the profit, the CP has to be converted into IP, because the value of goods that is been sent, goods sent by head office to branch has been given at what price, my dear friends? At invoice price. But we got the information of CP. I'm converting this into invoice price. Similarly, the unsold stock lying at branch pertaining to head office is at invoice price only, no? So again, to remove the loading effect, I have to convert. To remove loading effect, percentage of CP to be converted to percentage of IP. That is 1/10 of CP is equal to 1/11 of IP. This is self-explanation. The examination, if you want to write, this will become working notes. No issue. You can do it. So I think we can start doing the working out the problem. Then you will be having more clarity on this. So we start doing the problem now, one after the other. So let me prepare what exactly is asking us to prepare. Prepare columnar trading and P&L account for head office and branch for the year ending 31st March 2016. So even though it is not mentioned, it is implied that it is in the books of head office only you're doing. for the year ending 31st March 2016. Okay, start doing it now. Two, purchases. You don't have any opening stock. The problem. Have you got any opening stock? No opening stock. For the transaction year ending 31st March 16 has been given. You don't have any opening stock. When you don't have opening stock, why should we worry about it? Simply. So head office purchase amounting to 7 lakhs 32,000. Seven lakh 32,000. And we have also seen goods purchased by the branch locally 91,312. 91,312. Then this is discount alert told you will be taken to 1 minute. Here we got some purchase returns. I think this we have not deducted. 30,825. Just purchases. Do one thing. Why should I worry? Why should confuse yourself? Net purchases. Net purchases of head office equal to purchases by head office minus purchase returns. See, otherwise there it looks clumsy. I'm writing here 7,32,000 minus purchase returns. How much? 30,820. 30,825. 7,32,000 minus 30,825. It is coming to 7 lakhs 1,000. 7 lakh 1,175. This is working notes number 1, clear. Then next, this is completed. Of course, this discount allowed is received. I told you this will be taken when you prepare P&L account. Sales made by head office amounted to 5,40,000. So here by sales 5,40,000. Then goods sent by head office to branch at invoice price 2,72,250, and I told you goods sent to branch amounting to 33,000 were still in transit. So what I need to do here, point number 2, goods sent to branch net, I'm writing goods sent to branch. Without receiving the goods, how can you treat as a sale? Goods in transit. Goods sent to branch is coming to, is given that 2,72,250. Goods in transit means that goods have not been received. What is goods in transit? 33,000. So 2,72,250 minus 33,000. It is coming to 2,39,250. Okay, now let us go for this. By goods sent to branch. Working notes number 2. 2,39,250, and this is goods received from head office. It is receipt for whom? Receipt for branch. $2,39,250. Clear to all of you? The next one. This is discount allowed to supplies will be debited to P&L account. This has been already completed. Now, this also have taken goods purchased by the branch also completed. Establishment expense will be taken to where? P&L account. This also I told you. Sales made by the branch 3,60,000. Discount allowed to customers. This will be taken to where? P&L account of branch. This I have told you already. So sales by the branch amount to 3,60,000. And also you are having goods lost in transit 4,005. These two items will be taken to 3,60,000 and 4,005 will be taken to branch account credit side. Now sales is, since I have already got the column, sales made by branch I am writing. Then he has given the term goods lost in transit. I'm using abnormal loss account, or you can use the term directly goods lost in transit also. $4,005. Okay. What are the problems we are being? Very old aged problem, very standard problem, 20-30 years old back problems, but the concept is clear. I think you can work out basing on this the problems which you are having. I think this is bit you will be going to depth of it actually. I mean the logic, I mean how we prepare these two things, the whole problem this is. But having said, and if you work out these kind of problems, you should feel comfortable in doing any problem now. So okay, coming back to this now. Goods lost in transit is 4,005 rupees. Then now what is that? I got the information. Stock of goods at branch. This, as I told you, is to find out unrealized profit. Okay. Anyhow, he's saying that stock at branch. The stock at branch, we are unaware of it. He's having 57,750 stock belongs to whom? From branch. Okay, that we discuss later on. So, but let me take you to now. What is to be done now? Come on, tell me. Opening stock is there? No opening stock. Purchase is there. Sales is there. Abnormal loss. So, if I can get gross profit, I can get closing stock. That I think I can do it very simple way. So what I do here, I'm writing first of all to gross profit carried down. To gross profit carried in. For this also what I do, I'll be going for working notes. Simple. It becomes very simple. Gross profit of, first let me start with gross profit of here head office. So now head office, sales by head office here, you got 5,40,000, and sales goods sent to branch 2,39,250. So you need to find out head office profit on these two things. So first, head office on sales to outsiders. On goods sent to branch. Now we have learned that today, tutorial note, send goods to branch 1 by 11th of IP, 1 by 10th of CP is nothing but 1 by 11th of IP, told you. To others 33 per 33.33 or 1/3 of SP, no. So directly, let me come back to this. What is sales to others? You got 5,40,000, no? So 5,40,000 into 1 by 3. 5,40,000 by 3. It is coming to how much? 1,80,000. 1,80,000. Next, on goods sent to branch. What is goods sent to branch? Here I have written 2,39,000 after adjusting transit, 2,39,250. I told you 2,39,250. They're sending at 10% profit on CP, but this is IP, no? This is IP, no, invoice price. So I am converting the CP into IP. 1/10 of IP is equal to 1 by 11th, 1/10 of CP, sir. 1/10 of CP is equal to 1/11th of IP, no? So 2,39,250 into 1 by 11. 2,39,250 into 1 by 11. It is coming to 21,750. This is the profit. They are having profit of goods sent by head office to branch and goods sent to branch. So 1,80,000. You get, add that, you are getting 2,01,750. This is the gross profit of head office. Now gross profit of branch, that also we have seen here. Branch sells at 25% profit on SP. What is sales by branch? We have seen here 3,60,000. $3,60,000 into 25%. Information has been given directly on profit. 25% profit on sales. That is 3,60,000, 25%. You're getting 90,000. Okay. Now let me take these two things to here. To gross profit carry down, we got 2,01,750, and here we got 90,000. This is working notes number, no, 2,01,750 and 90,000. Now we can find out closing stock as balancing figure. Closing stock as balancing figure. How, sir? 7 lakhs 1,175 plus 2 lakh 1,750. We are getting 9 lakhs 2,925. Minus 2,39,250 minus 5,40,000. It is coming to 1,23,675. 1,23,675. This is your closing stock balancing figure. Now let us look at it. 91,312 plus 2,39,250 plus 90,000. It is coming to 4,20,000. 4,20,562 minus 3,60,000 minus 4,005. We are getting a closing stock of 56,557. Is your balancing figure. Clear to all of you? This is closing stock is balancing figure. 1,23,675 and 56,557. Then we can continue because we are written the heading trading comma P&L account. I have written no of head office and branch. I am writing here. By gross profit brought down 2,01,750, 90,000. Then you should debit you have already seen discount allowed, no? The discount allowed to customers 4,950 by debit set up P&L account head office, and I told you here discount allowed to customer P&L account of branch sales by branch, and discount allowed to customer. This will go to P&L account of branch. This will go to P&L account of head office. This will go to P&L account of. This will go to P&L account of branch. Will go to P&L account of head office. Clear to all of you? So let me take this. To discount allowed 4,950, and here it is 2,820. Clear to all of you? Discount allowed 4,950 and 2,820 is here P&L account of profit and loss account debit side of branch. Coming back to this now, we also got some establishment expenses, head office and branch. These two will be taken to respective columns. 1,40,130 and 40,000 to 80. to establishment expenses, one lakh 40,130, 40,280. Now we got abnormal loss, no, 4,005. There is no mention about abnormal loss, whether insurance policy has been taken. Simply guess somewhere he has given. Yeah. Goods lost in cost of goods lost in transit. No information of insurance policy. Then we shall assume that entire amount, since there is no, you know that you learned in final accounts also. The last class also we have seen. The information of insurance policy taken is not given. Entire amount is a loss. It is transferred to which account? Profit and loss account, to abnormal loss. Since there is, I'll be giving a note, since there is no policy taken, entire amount is being treated as a loss, 4,005. Here I am giving note to that. Goods lost in transit. Goods lost in transit is treated as a loss since there is no information of insurance policy or claim. Therefore, rupees 4,500 is debited to branch P&L account. Okay. Fourth point I mentioned. Note 4. Now, I told you, I've explained you already about stock reserve. Unsold stock at branch includes stock received from head office, which is at invoice price. Therefore, to remove the loading effect, percentage of cost profit to be converted into 1/10 of, that is 1/10 of CP is equal to 111. This is what I told you. Stock of goods in the branch as on 31st March 16 included goods received from head office for 57,750. So closing stock is 57,750, which is the stock at branch, which is pertaining to stock transferred from head office. So this is what is called as unrealized profit. Okay, so what I am doing here now, next point number 5, unrealized profit. On closing stock of branch, I've already told you about whenever a branch is buying it, whenever head office is transferring, if anybody is having the doubt, I think recently you have learned this, I think there should not be any doubt to you. So whenever goods sent to branch, it is at invoice price, no? When they are treating it as invoice price, what happened? And they assume that this entire goods have been sold, the profit is more. Actually, at the time of sending the goods by branch, number of examples I have given in department account, my dear friends, to explain the concept of one full half-an-hour lecture I have given in the beginning. If anybody is having the doubt, maybe if you have, our memory is volatile, if you can't remember everything, if you got any doubt, anybody, when I've explained the concept of department accounts, please recollect and see that department account notes. I've given example for some units, something I've taken, I remember. You go back to that, and first class or second class, you look at the treatment of unrealized profit. If I'm not wrong, second class of department accounts, you just go back and see the logic of unrealized profit. here at the time of sending the goods by head office to branch, and head office feels that the entire amount has been sold, but 2 lakh out of 2,39,250 they also got the profit. So they got the profit on 5,40,000 plus 2,39,250. You can see you got the profit on 2,30,000, 2,39,250 plus 5,40,000. That means 2,01,750 profit that has been shown is including the unsold stock. So unsold stock profit, if you take what happened, profit is overvalued. Which office profit is overvalued? Head office profit is overvalued. The sending goods profit is overvalued. So therefore we should remove the profit. That is why it is being called as unrealized profit. Okay. So what I am trying to tell you is that unrealized profit on closing stock of branch is equal to 57,750 into 1 by 11. It is coming to 5,250. Clear to all of you? 5,250. So this 5,250, here I am giving a note. It can be transferred to general P&L account. This is what we have done. In most of the problems of department accounts, and when you're calculating the commission of department manager, you remember concerned department profit, we have removed this, you recollect it. For calculation of unrealized, for calculation of commission, to find out, we have deducted the profit of department from the transfer department profit. We have removed unrealized profit, because to calculate the correct profit of department. Similarly, to calculate the correct net profit, we also can, instead of waiting and transferring to general P&L account, it can be adjusted from the concerned sender profit. Concerned sender profit is nothing but head office gross profit. Head office gross profit, how can you deduct? By debiting P&L account, automatically your net profit, correct net profit you can get. It can be transferred to general P&L account. Alternatively, we can debit the profit and loss account here, head office, also to ascertain the, see, these things you need not write in the examination. For you to understand, I am explaining. Also we can debit the P&L account head office also to ascertain the correct profit or result of the sender, that is head office. Okay. So therefore 5,250 I am debiting to P&L account. Here I am writing to stock reserve. You know the entry will be same. Instead of writing general P&L account to stock reserve, we are writing P&L account. P&L account means which column we are talking about here? Head office column. So that means this profit of 2,01,750, by removing the unrealized profit, you are getting the correct profit. That means 2,01,750, you know. From this, indirectly you are deducting the 5,250, so that the unrealized profit has been eliminated. You know the meaning of unrealized? Without realizing, when you realize, there is a concept. I remember when I was teaching CPT MCQ, there used to be question repeatedly in the examination. CPT MCQs in those days, we used to have a question called as when you can treat the goods has been sold under realization concept. Unless you realize means It can be cash sales or credit sales. Unless you are sure that the goods have been accepted by the customers, you cannot treat as a sale. That is why. So if somebody is going to ask a question, suddenly it reminds me and struck to me that this is the best example I can explain. Realization concept says that unless you sell it, you can't treat as a profit. So that unrealized means without realizing it, you're treated. It is against the conservatism principle also. Please remember, this is also against to conservatism principle. That means you are without, by the moment your goods have been sold here, the moment goods have been sent to branch, head office assume it has been sold, which is against which principle? Conservatism principle. That is why to correct the correct profit, to get the correct profit, we are taking out the unrealized profit. It also called as realization concept also. You remember this really CPT was wonderful to test the basic knowledge. MCQs you should be very good. Descriptive, one advantage you are having, that you should be thorough with the writing, working out. Maybe CA enter, it will be easy. But in those days, the CPT, MCQ, from where he is going to ask, you don't know. Unless that means there, the more orientation on concept. Bits were framed on your concept. But the problem is those students who are having struggling, they are not, used to practice like shortcuts method they used to do to get the answer. But they really used to struggle when you come to doing the problem of CA Inter or IPCC in those days. So to overcome that, they said, okay, foundation, you should be good in accounting. Now, I think the advantage you people are seeing that. I know most of you from commerce stream, even from MPC stream also, you have done really well. From other non-commerce stream also, you have done very well in foundation. That basic knowledge definitely will. So that is where now and then. But having said, since I taught CPT also, now in CA foundation also I've explained you the concept, because that concept, if you're good in concept, you can do any problem, my dear friends. Okay. Now the stock reserve 5,250. Then this is completed. Now two items we are having. Discount allowed we have taken, no? Okay. Establishment, I think discount is still one adjustment is there that we have not taken. Here, discount is it somewhere we are having, yeah. Head office purchases and purchase returns are there, and discount allowed to by suppliers 15,045. It is an income from for whom? Head office. Okay. So by discount allowed by suppliers is nothing but by discount received. By discount received, it is in head office column 15,045. 15,045. Now you can close it. 2,01,750 plus 15,045. 2,16,970. 2,16,975. Two lakh 16,975 minus 4,950 minus 1,40,130 minus 5,000. It is coming to 66,465. This is transferred to, this is called net profit. Yeah, now they will be transferring this net profit to general P&L account also. The corrected profit they are transferring. Because why they should prepare general P&L account? Because head office as a whole, their profit and branch profit or any other branch profit, they combine, then they will be transferring to their capital account. So transfer to P&L account, general P&L account. Here 90,000, no? 90,000 minus 2,820 minus 40,280 minus 4,005. You're getting 42,895. 42,895. Now, the doubt I am going to raise. Maybe you may not be having the doubt, or by this time, some of you, I know that some of you by this time You might have noticed it. If you are not noticed, let me raise a doubt. So what is the doubt, sir? I'll show you. Stock of goods in transit as on 31st March 16 included goods received from head office for 57,750. Yes, sir. Sir, we have worked out closing stock now. We are having 56,550. So what is to be done, sir? When problem has been given, I can say like that. Alright? 36,557 is closing stock. 36,557 is closing stock. But the problem he has given stock of goods in the branch on 31st included goods received from head office for 57,750. Is it a framing of a problem is wrong or our closing stock is wrong? Two possibilities. But no, it's not that. See, the goods lost in transit also they are considered as an unsold stock as on that date, because the goods which is unsold means, simple words, purchases plus received. We assume that entire purchase has been sold. Now the question is that two goods at branch is having. Just for discussion sake, my dear friends, you have done the problem. You only remember this. The technical point I'm explaining. So the problem is clear. Don't confuse. You just retain it in the mind. Maybe some of you may have a doubt. That is the reason why I'm giving explanation. Problem, if a question comes, we will be doing like this only. But please remember, just for explanation sake, I'm assuming that 91,312 has been entire amount has been sold. Point number one. Now this 2,39,250 also part of the stock has been sold. Now the unsold stock is saying 57,750. 57,750 has given. But actually, if you look at the balancing figure is 56,557. So my contention is that the assumption we can take, if you add 56,557 plus 4,005, it is coming to 60,562. That means as on this particular date, goods lost in transit and goods physically available with the branch is coming to 60,562. This 60,562 stock is out of goods received from head office. So since this entire 2,39,250 has been assumed as sales, by head office, this is a purchase for branch, sales for head office. So the unrealized profit is having on the entire goods sold. So that is the reason why they have given that 57,750, and they are expecting the students to do a mistake, saying that 57,750 is wrong, this 56,557 is correct. No, the contention is that this 4,005 is also unsold, but on this 4,005 also what they have done, they have been sold. And second thing, now one more point also I need to clarify. One more point now. If you see, just a minute, 56, now after calculation of this I am getting an idea. 56,557 plus 4,005, it is coming to 60,562. No, 3,562 minus 57,750. Now it is coming to 22,812. So I can also take an assumption, the other 2,812, that means abnormal loss plus closing stock, maybe out of purchase also, because we are getting more than 57,750. No, so I think I can't take assumption that entire purchase has been sold. Entire purchase has been sold. So part of that means, just for explanation sake, I'm telling my dear friends, this is only tutorial note. No need to worry about it. Just tutorial note to explain. The reason for, just this is tutorial note I'm explaining. The reason for unsold stock pertaining to head office in branch, which is given as 57,750. But whereas unsold stock at branch after taking out after taking out goods lost in transit, after taking out goods lost in transit, rupees is goods lost in 4005 is 56,557. That portion of which is given as 50, but whereas unsold stock at branch is after taking out goods lost in transit 4005 is 56,557. That means total unsold stock including goods lost in transit is 4005 plus 56,550, coming to 4005 plus 56,557, which is coming to 60,562. Now this 60,562, this 60,562 is consisting of unsold stock pertaining to head office. The term unsold stock is being used to reflect unrealized profit. That is the reason why they have used the term unrealized profit. This is for explanation. No need to worry about, you have done the problem. If you don't observe it, leave it. Just for those who are having any doubt. So 60,562. Now further 60,562, 57,000 something, 57,750. Now the difference is the purchase stock is unsold. Purchase stock is here. You are having two stocks in the branch. Purchase stock, now we can say purchase stock is unsold. Purchase stock is sold. Purchase stock is unsold. Goods received from head office is unsold. So the reason is that 57,750, whereas we are having 56,557. The reason is that the goods lost in transit has been deducted. But the goods lost in transit from where you are getting? Partly from purchases, partly from head office. So therefore we can say that that particular stock, whether this lost in transit or which is with the branch, is already assumed by head office as goods have been sold. That is the reason why you are having the concept of unrealized profit. Even if you don't observe, if you don't look into it, I think still you can work out, right? This is just for explanation I have given, my dear friends. Even no need to copy, just to tell you I have given. Okay, so let me take out this. Not needed. This is not needed. No need to panic about it. Need to panic about it. Just you listen to this, and whenever you are having the doubt, just you can listen to this video, right? So now the concept is, if anybody is having still doubts, sir, goods has been destroyed or goods has been destroyed or goods has been destroyed or goods has been with the branch, both on both goods, simple words, 100 rupees sent by head office to branch. 100 rupees on 100 rupees, 20% profit, yes, assume. So 100 rupees is the invoice. Let me give example. 100 rupees invoice price, 20 profit. Okay, this profit clear. 100 rupees has been sold. Out of 100, I'm giving 20% profit on 100. So it is coming to 20 rupees. Profit 20 rupees. Assumed profit has been 20. has been sales a goods sent to branch. Have a more clarity, I'll give you like this. 100 units, 30 rupees. Cost price say 20, profit say 10. 30. 100 into 30, 3. So this is 300. What is profit you see? Assuming all goods have been sent, profit is 100 into 10. 100 rupees is profit. This is for head office. I'm not writing purchase, etc. Just to tell you profit. Profit for head office is how much? Now the branch, what they've done, branch has sold, branch out of 100, branch were able to sell say 80. Branch has sold 80. So on 80 units they have sold. Let me tell you, 80 units have sold. I don't need to have the selling price, leave it. 80 units have been sold by branch. So the balance left is 10 units, 20. Let me say 5 units unsold. 5 units lost in transit. 5 units lost in transit. 15 units unsold. So now suppose 15 units cost price. 15 units into what is cost price? 20. Right? 100 into 33,000. No? 100 into 10,000. 15 into 20 how much? Come on, 15 into 20. It is coming to 300. Now the problem is it is been given 300 is the unit that has been unsold, but actually lost in transit also 5 units into 20. 100. Come on, tell me. Now this 100 rupees and 300 rupees from where you are got? From out of 100 units sold, no? That means branch is possessing, branch has sold 80 units. Branch has sold 80 units. But the question is that the head office has assumed that they have sold 100 units. Head office has assumed that entire 100 units have been sold. But actually how many units sold? 80. That means you are having a profit on unrealized profit on 20 units. No? But in the problem which we have done so far, like 50 units has been given as unsold. But you can't calculate unrealized profit on 15 units. You also have to calculate unrealized profit on how many units lost? 5 units lost, because 100 units is including 5 units lost and 5 units lost that has been dispatched by head office, and also 15 units unsold. That means out of 100 units, actually how many units have been sold? 80. And 20 units has been unsold, but they have treated 100 units has been sold. So the 20 units is consisting of 5 units lost, 15 units has been unsold. That is the reason why if you don't take 5 units lost also, you won't be getting the corrected profit. So that is why I told you, even the closing stock which is appearing in the problem, the closing stock which is appearing in the problem here is 56,557, which is less than 57,750, which is less than, tell me, 57,750. The reason can be like this. This is only physical units they might have given, but actually what is missing? Lost in units also. Lost in units also they have treated, because at the time of sending goods, can head office predict that some goods will be lost in transit? That is the reason why on total value. So the reason is that I think this you don't find any book, my dear friends. Even if you get a solution, just simply they work out. Authors simply they work out. They can't give reasoning like this in writing. This is implied. That means there are some problem standard which you need to raise that level. So I hope you got the clarity. So that is the reason why I told you the reason can be why this closing stock is less than that 57,750, because unrealized profit includes the abnormal loss, that is goods lost in transit. I think you got the clarity of thought on this. I hope. Okay. So this is just for discussion sake I have explained you. I repeat, why somebody is going to ask you, sir, why you are having the profit like that, sir? You should say, when goods have dispatched, whether goods lost in transit, goods remaining with unsold, they assume that they have sold. So that is why to find tomorrow, if there is any problem like this, you can remember goods sent is 100, goods sold is 80. So they have taken as 100 as a goods sold. Profit on 100 goods, that 100 units that has been dispatched to branch have been assumed by head office has been sold. But in practical, they have sold only 80 units. So what is unsold? 20. Be it is goods lost in transit, be it goods lost by fire, or be goods in physically in the premises of branch. It doesn't affect, because they have taken as 100. Actually profit has to be counted for 80. So that means 5 units plus 15 units, 20 units. On 20 units you should calculate unrealized profit. That is the reason why I told you 57,750 is more than closing stock which we are having in the branch column credit side. I hope this discussion definitely do good to you. Okay, my dear friends, is this clear? If you want, you can listen again. Conclusion: goods sent by head office, out of which whatever the good that has been unsold, whatever the goods have been unsold, is maybe physically unsold, but some of the goods might have been lost. So simple words, unsold goods may include goods lost in transit also, because 100 has been sent but 80 has been sold. So 20 is unrealized profit, but 20 we have split it, like 5 units have been lost in transit, 15 units in the physical premises. So total overall it is coming to 20 units. Therefore we can say that when you are removing the load unrealized profit, on unrealized profit on goods lost in transit also we need to calculate. Okay, is this clear? So because head office can't predict that it is goods lost in transit, that is the reason why we are getting the difference. Even that has not been mentioned, but even though it has not been mentioned, but that is the reason. Clear to all of you? Even though that has not been mentioned in the problem, that is the reason why 56,557 we are getting, whereas it has been given 57,750. Now you can assume that 57,750 is including goods lost in transit also. Is it correct or not? Goods lost in transit is also to be considered, because at the time of sending the goods, head office assume that whatever the good that has been sent has been sold, but unfortunately due to goods lost in transit, that goods also not been sold. So without selling those goods, how can you get a profit? And unsold stock is not sold. So unsold stock is not sold. Goods lost in transit also not sold. So conclusion: unsold stock is also not sold. Goods lost in transit is also not unsold. That is why when you are calculating unrealized profit, we also should include goods lost in transit. That is the reason why we are having 57,750. Hats off to the problem frame, the person who has framed the problem. Really hats off to him, right? Now coming back to this, one more point I would like to tell you. This problem is having lot of explanation, maybe taking lot of time. Doing the problem is simple. And sir, what about goods lost in transit? Goods lost in transit is in whose stock is there? Simple words, goods lost in transit, what we have done, deducted from the branch sales, no? I mean the sales made by goods sent by head office. Come back to this, just a minute. See here, goods sent branch 2,39,250 we have deducted from, you deducted. How you got that? Goods in transit, no? Simple words, that means the purchases transit has been deducted. So purchase 100, suppose 90 has been sent, 10 is in transit, then what happens? The purchases increases, goods sent is decreases, which increases closing stock. So 1,23,675 is including goods still in transit, and since branch has not received, this closing stock is including goods in transit also. One more point you should remember, closing stock including goods in transit. This closing stock is including, come on, tell me, goods in transit. Clear to all of you? This closing stock is including goods in transit, because till the goods have been dispatched, reached the premises of branch, we shall assume the goods in transit. Actually, the goods in transit is to be taken to branch. That will be learning in independent branches. But here in dependent branches, we assume the goods have not been received by the branch. Till they receive, they are not treating as a purchases, and head office is also not treating as a sales. So we assume that goods lost in transit belongs to whom now? Head office. So closing stock 1,23,675 is also including goods not lost in transit, goods in transit. Sorry. Maybe I might have slipped my tongue, my dear friends. My intention is to tell you goods in transit. So 1,23,675 is nothing but, we shall assume, if you want, I'm writing the point also here. Sixth point. Goods in transit of rupees 33,000 is not received by branch is automatically will be included in the closing stock of head office. Goods in transit of rupees 33,000 is not received by branch is automatically will be included in the closing stock of head office. It is to be somewhere. Even though in branch is refused to record in branch because it is dependent branch. If it is independent branch, treatment will be different. So this is applicable for this treatment is good for dependent branches, because I'm keeping in future discussion, I'm writing this treatment is good for dependent branch. In independent branch, we treatment I'll be giving explain differently. Goods in transit of rupees 33 not received by branch is automatically be included in the closing stock of head office. So therefore I can say that closing stock of branch of closing stock of head office includes stock in transit also. It has to be either in the branch column or it is in the head office column. So that is the reason why we have deducted, when you are deducted from sales, when you are deducted from goods sent to head office, automatically then which will happen? Purchases will be more, and when you are deducting this from this, sales is reduced, closing stock automatically increases. So closing stock including goods in transit. Am I right? If you don't treat as a sale, where it happens? So 100 units have sent, they have received 70. My closing stock is actually, I thought entire 100 units have dispatched. 100 units have dispatched, but they are treating as 70 has been received. 30 stock belongs to myself only. So simple words, 200 units have purchased. Out of 200 units I purchased, say 200 units are purchased, out of 200 units are purchased, say 150 units have been sold to outsiders, and or say 120 units have been sold to outsiders, transferred to branch. Actually I transferred to branch 60, but 60 what happened, 10 is in transit, 60 minus 10, 50. Now I am treating it. So 200 minus 120 minus 50, it is coming to how much? 200 minus 120, 80 minus 50, closing stock 30. Actually if I say 200 units minus 120 minus 60, 180, I'll be having closing stock of 20. Actually if I treat this 60 as a sales, then my closing stock is 20. Since I am deducting from sales as goods sent to branch 10 units, now my stock is 50, no? 50 only. So 200 minus, that is transfer to branch is only 50. Simple words, out of 200 units that has been purchased by head office, sold to outsiders is sold to outsiders 120. Like this I'll explain. To branch 60, actually closing stock is supposed to be 20. Am I right? Closing stock is 20. But what happened? This is one option. 200 units has been sent, sold to outsiders 120, transferred to branch 60, but 60 minus 10 is in transit. Now you are having 50, So 200 minus 70. How much you are having? 30. That means closing stock of head office is including transit item also not. If I don't take it as a transit item, also has been treated as sale, my closing stock is 20. Since I am deducting transit item from sales goods sent to branch, the sales is coming to 50. So therefore, what is closing stock in units with head office is 30. That is including transit item or not. Goods purchased by head office 200, sold to outsiders 120, sent to branch 60, but 10 units in transit. Now when recording I've deducted in transit. So what is the good that has been transferred to branch? Assumed is 50. So 200 units minus 120 minus 50 is 30 units. So if I don't deduct this 10, the closing stock in transit will be how much? Closing stock with the branch will be how much? 20 units. Since I am deducting the unit that has been in transit from goods sent to branch, what is closing stock in units? 30 units. That means now you can say closing stock in units is including transit items. So generally last 15 minutes or 20 minutes explanation which I have given is to understand the concept. Even if you don't understand, for doing the problems you all can do. Now I hope I've tried to clarify the doubt, even though through video recording it's very difficult to convince you, because I don't know to what extent you are having the doubt, but I'm trying my level best to know that what kind of doubts you'll be having. So that is why bit slowly I'm going to branch accounts, because I can't rush. I've been telling you from last few classes. I hope you got the connection to this. We'll meet in the next class with some more problem. One more problem I think we are having on final accounts. That is not final accounts is completed, sorry. We're having wholesale price method. With that we'll be completing dependent branches, then we'll move on to independent branches. Okay, so we'll meet in the next class. Till then, goodbye, thank you, God bless you all. Okay, fine, we'll meet in the next class. Thank you.